Javier Becerra, proud to be the Attorney General for our great state of California. I'm also proud to be joined by Assemblymember David Chiu, who is the author of AB 450, which is the precursor to the law that we now have in California that helps protect the privacy rights of employers and employees at the workplace. And so many of us would like to say once again to Assemblymember Chiu, thank you so much for stepping forward, for making sure people recognize that privacy is important, that the workplace is what drives California's economy, and that we must continue to see that thrive in order for us to continue to create the jobs and the economic output that keeps California strong, so strong that we're the economic engine for the country and the sixth largest economy in the world. And so I want to thank David. I also want to make sure I acknowledge the work of Labor Commissioner Julie Su, who, along with my Department of Justice, has jurisdiction over making sure that this new law, AB 450, is enforced. The Immigrant Worker Protection Act is something that will help employers and employees at the workplace. And so I am looking forward to working with Labor Commissioner Su in making sure that we notify employers and employees of their new responsibilities and rights under AB 450 and make sure that everyone understands how it should be utilized. Let me stress again, AB 450 is about privacy, about constitutional rights, and Californians at the workplace. We in California, and I think we've proven this over the last year and a half of real turmoil in Washington, D.C., we in California respect our U.S. Constitution. We follow federal law, and we abide by state law as well. It's my job to help people understand their rights and responsibilities under the law as our state's chief law enforcement officer. AB 450 went into effect on January 1st of this year, 2018. It makes clear that the privacy rights of Californians at work are paramount for employers and employees alike. To ensure that all Californians understand their rights and responsibilities under this new law, my team has been working with employers and workers up and down the state of California to answer their questions and provide them with information. Many of you will recall that last month in this room we held a press conference to make sure we alerted Californians right after the new year of this new law. In fact, of other new laws as well, because as the axiom goes, ignorance of the law is no excuse. We're all obligated to make sure we know what the laws are and we follow them. And so we undertook an effort to try to reach out to employers, to workers, so that they would know what this new law, AB 450 law, would mean to them at the workplace. With their questions in mind, the Department of Justice is today releasing an advisory on AB 450 that details the rights and responsibilities when it comes to protecting employers and workers' privacy under the law. The advisory reminds employers that the law prescribes how employers disclose private information about employees. It also requires that employees be notified if their private information has been requested. In addition, the advisory reminds employers that they are required to follow federal law when verifying or re-verifying employment eligibility status. Along with Labor Commissioner Su, we are also releasing guidance on top of the advisory, guidance on AB 450. Think of it as a frequently asked questions document that answers some of the questions that came up during our visits and conversations with employers throughout the state as we reached out to them. This guidance covers topics such as what employers are required to do when an immigration enforcement agent seeks to enter the employer's place of business, and what kinds of documents, for example, are considered judicial warrants. Here in California, We respect the U.S. Constitution and federal and state law. Our goal with this advisory and this guidance is to help employers and employees do just that as well. As I said, I'm pleased that we're joined by Assemblymember Chiu, who helped put this law in place. He is the person who authored it. And I would, before I turn it mic over to him, just like to mention to you some of the groups that, as a result of Assemblymember Chiu's law, have been approached to try to help Californians understand what their new rights and responsibilities are. Many of the groups include the folks from the agricultural industry, the business sector, and hospitality. But let me read you a few. The California Citrus Mutual, the California Fresh Fruits Association, Construction Employers Association, Family Business Association of California, the National Federation of Independent Business, the Society for Human Resource Management, California Retailers Association, Agricultural Council of California, the California Farm Bureau, California Hotel and Lodging Association, the California Restaurant Association. We reached out to Becerra Legal Services, California Association of Local Conservation Corps, California Domestic Workers Coalition, California Federation of Teachers, San Francisco Labor Council, the United Farm Workers, the building trades throughout the Labor Federation, and the AFL-CIO. These are all among the groups that we reached out to try to inform them of this new law and also to try to find out what their thinking was and any questions they had. And so we thank each and every one of the individuals who took the time to reach out to us, to share their concerns, because it helps us make sure that when it comes to enforcing the law, we have the cooperation of all Californians. With that, let me turn it over now to the author of the legislation, Assemblymember David Chiu.
Thank you very much to the Attorney General, and I first want to just thank you in your first year for all that you have done to stand up and protect the rights, the constitutional rights, the civil rights, the privacy rights of Californians during this time. And I also want to take a moment and thank our Labor Commissioner, Julie Su. I know she wanted to be here, but she and her staff worked with our office incredibly closely with regards to the last year and in recent months, working closely with the AG's office to put out the advisory that we are talking about today. From his earliest days as president, Donald Trump has declared war on our immigrant communities with unconstitutional executive orders, as well as a proposal to hire 10,000 new ICE agents. I authored this law, the Immigrant Worker Protection Act, AB 450, because we have anticipated that Donald Trump would ramp up his workplace rates. And unfortunately, in recent weeks, particularly in Northern California, but around the state of California, we've seen exactly that. These are enforcement actions that are disruptive not only for workers, but are bad for business and for our economy. An economy where 1 out of 3 California workers is an immigrant, where 1 out of 10 California workers lack documentation due to the failure of Washington, D.C. to enact comprehensive immigration reform. We know our immigrants have made our economy strong. And let's make no mistake about what the recent ICE enforcement actions are about. They are a deeply cynical attempt to scare law-abiding Californian workers into quitting their jobs and to disrupt our thriving California economy. Now, while we cannot stop these enforcement actions from occurring, we can make sure that ICE follows the rule of law and respects the privacy rights of workers and employers. We wrote this law not only to provide protections to workers and businesses, but also because we know that a lot of business owners will not know what to do when or if ICE visits their workplace. And business owners deserve as much clarity as workers. I think that our law, combined with the guidelines presented today, provide the clarity that workers and employers need when interacting with immigration authorities. I also want to just take a moment, in addition to thanking the AG and the Labor Commissioner, to also thank leadership within the labor community from SEIU and the California Labor Federation for their work on this bill, as well as for the many voices within the business community who provided feedback on the bill during the process. I think we were interacting with about 50 business and trade associations. I look forward to working with the Attorney General and others to ensuring that businesses and workers alike are aware of these guidelines, are educated, know what the law is about, and understand all of our rights and responsibilities during these times. Thank you.
Assemblymember, thank you very much. Let me say a couple of quick words in Spanish because I suspect, I can see it already. And so then we'll take some questions. Hoy estamos anunciando que detrás de la propuesta del asambleísta David Chiu, estamos hablando hoy con las personas que emplean muchos de los trabajadores aquí en California y hablando de los derechos y las obligaciones que uno tiene como empresario y como trabajador aquí en California en cuanto a la privacidad de cualquier persona en el sitio de trabajo. Y es muy importante saber cuáles son los derechos que uno tiene, especialmente nuestras familias migrantes. Merecen saber cuáles son los derechos que tienen. Y por eso este día mi departamento, conjunto con el departamento de la comisionada de labor aquí de California, Julie Sue, estamos promulgando un anuncio que le da información al empleador y al que trabaja de cuáles son los derechos y las obligaciones en el sitio de trabajo. Ojalá con estos anuncios, estos avisos, la gente que trabaja aquí bien duro en California y los que los emplean conozcan mejor, van a conocer mejor sus derechos y sus obligaciones en proteger la privacidad de todos en el sitio de empleo. Con eso podemos tomar preguntas. With that, we'll take some questions. Thank you all very much.